hate to break it to you, but being too woke is definitely killing your joy. And I don't even only mean like a political sense. I'm talking about being too aware of how you're perceived. I'm talking about overthinking, staying in your head, being obsessed with self improvement, being too obsessed with healing. Whatever is robbing you from being in the present moment and basking in that is definitely killing your joy. It's all about mastering the balance of it, because there's nothing wrong with staying up to date about what's going on in the world. There's nothing wrong with wanting to better yourself, to become more spiritual, to heal more. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a problem once we get lost in that, when we get obsessed with it and we start to live in it. No shade, but you should definitely be able to have regular conversations that don't have to do with race, politics, improvement, spirituality. You should be able to just laugh and giggle at some things too. Like, these kinds of topics should not be living in your mind 24/7 rent free. And then a lot of things that I see with people who are just big hearted and they really care about like what's going on in the world and what's going on outside of the US. It's like I see things to where they feel like they're not allowed to care about or post or like talk about things that aren't detrimental to what's going on in the world. And it's like these things definitely do deserve our attention. We should definitely be talking about them and everything. But you're not doing a disservice to these causes just because you're taking time for yourself. Like, when you're in it, it just may not seem like a bad thing, because it's like, okay, well, I'm given to a cause. Or like when it comes down to spirituality and self-improvement, it's like, well, I mean, I should care a lot about getting better. And like, you're basically doing something positive, right? It's not like you have an addiction to like, I don't know, being a bully. Like, I don't know, some people have interesting fixations, but it's out of being genuine. You know, it's something you're really interested in. You are taking better strides to improve yourself, so it can kind of sneak up on you in a way. Take me, for example. I have ADHD, amongst other things, so I get special interest. And I had to sneeze, but I was like educating myself on things like the Black Lives Matter movement, the Black Panther Party, everything, like being aware like what's going on, police brutality, all of that. Mind you, I was a child. I think that there should definitely be some kind of slight like awareness that, as you know, like the older that, you know, a black child gets, should have. But I was still a child. Like, maybe I should have indulged a little bit less on that, turn that off, and, you know, turn on a silly goofy movie or something, or a show. I didn't need to be so invested into that, especially at such a young age. And it didn't take me until like freshman, sophomore year to where I realized, I was like, oh wow, like I gave so much time to that, and I'm young, and this is like good to be aware, good to be educated, but this is something that's also so out of my control. I can make sure I stay educated and educated other people around me, but giving all my energy to that, you know, because it also gets depressing. It's like getting in that loophole, it's just also really depressing. If you spend too much time there, it can feel really discouraging and dark. And there's just a lot of certain things about like the way black people are treated, especially in America. I can't think about it too long, because if I do, like, being black is really like, sometimes it does feel like, you know, being in a horror movie. Like, no shade, but like, yes. It can really feel discouraging, and a lot of darker emotions to get really lost in that. So it's important to stay grounded, because you deserve peace, you deserve ease, you deserve to believe that there is hope, you know. And one of my long standing obsessions was with like self-improvement work. Like, what does it mean to gain discipline, keep your motivation intact, how to be a better friend, person, anything revolving around self-improvement. I was like so invested in, like buying the books, watching the TED Talks, the TikToks, the YouTube videos, the podcasts. Like, growing up with things like PTSD, ADHD, and like other things, I just always felt like who I wanted to be and like how I wanted to be, which was like functional. it was so like out of reach of me. So it just felt like this lag, or felt like I needed to be fixed. So it's like that's what I would hyperindulge in. I would hyperindulge in this content, hoping that like their advice and their things would like save me basically. For years I was so focused on like what I needed to fix about myself, what I wanted to heal about myself, all these things that like it was like taking away from like my beauty, like the beauty of who I am now. And I feel like somewhere on the line, it's like I wanted to improve socially. I wanted to improve in all these ways. When in reality, I felt like I just wanted to, be neurotypical. I feel like I wanted to be neurotypical. And it's like a lot of what I thought was like healing and making me better was actually just me masking. Like, I'm not going to talk too much about my interests. I'm just, let me look polite and smile and like just do all the stuff that I don't want to do. Me force myself to be social, even though it's good to be social. You don't have to force yourself to talk to everybody. Like, just rebranded to like this sociable, cool, like, you know, super pretty, like creative black girl. It wasn't until I realized, like, looking back and just seeing like other black women in media, that like, wow, like I really was like the weird, awkward black girl. And there was nothing wrong with that. And being like awkward too. And I'm like, but there was nothing wrong with that. I was myself, unapologetically. And just because me being myself made y'all uncomfortable does not at all mean that I had to change. Just trying to figure out who I was, how to heal, how to do better in this way, how to do better in that way. Just performing a tap dance and having the whole world on my shoulders. I wasn't making room for joy. Joy wasn't the goal on the list at all. Like, what about what light me up on fire? And I have had so many hobbies and interests that I bask in that, but it's like, what about prioritizing being happy and joyous instead of always feeling and being productive? You know? I was hiding in any corner I could, like being woke, being spiritual, being self-improved. What about being fucking happy for once? What about laughing? What about smiling? What about those things? What about those things? And just healing and going in like your spiritual journey, your self-improvement, and like being obsessed with those things. It's so interesting how like you're doing the work and like, yes, you are healing and doing better, but like I was still actively avoiding like, I don't know, being in the present moment, and just I was using it to hide or run or just to like make excuses, or I wasn't getting to the root of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting how like things could like sneak up on you like that. It's kind of a nuanced thing to like describe, because I know what I mean. I know I was making improvements, but at the same time, it's like, what about the present moment? What about cultivating a life of joy and peace and love, so that you do want to be present, so that you don't feel guilty for being in the present moment? Those things are very important. You know, like these things are really important to building a sustainable lifestyle for yourself, where you don't have to run, where you're not overly obsessed with anything. Just because you take time for yourself and maybe don't check those political articles about what's going on in the world and like always stick on top of things, that doesn't make you a bad person for taking time for yourself. Maybe the only part of your morning routine is taking care of your hygiene and making sure you eat breakfast. That's okay. You don't need 10 steps in the morning to feel proud, to be worthy, to feel like you're achieving something. You already achieved a lot of things that a lot of people don't have the strength to do. And you're not less spiritual because you eat meat. You gonna make these random people feel bad for your diet? Want to make you feel like the only way to be spiritual is if you know how to float to the fifth dimension and meditate, descend to the air, and just be vegan. No. So that's all I recorded for that segment. I just wanted to say that I'm mainly speaking from my personal experience. So if you guys can't really, if some of you can't relate to what I'm saying, that's fine. This video just isn't for you, and that's okay. My goal was to maybe just try and reach people who may have been going through the same thing, you know, as somebody who has overcome this need, want, desire to like be fixed. Because obviously there's nothing wrong with educating yourself and more on my topic. Like there's nothing wrong with like staying dedicated to like bettering yourself and like becoming more spiritual and aligned. But what's the problem is when you allow it to overshadow your humanity and your human needs and your fulfillment. You know, when you chase these things from a place of lack or needing to be fixed. You deserve a life and an identity outside of constantly bettering yourself. And you, my dear, are already better. You are already magnificent. You are already amazing. The fact that you care so much, educate yourself on so many different things and like be self-aware. Like, that's admirable. I feel like 80% of the world, definitely more than that, really doesn't care about how they treat people or their relationship with themselves. So you're already doing heavy, big work, and that is already honorable on its own. So give yourself some grace, some love, and compassion, and don't forget to have fun, because part of healing is also, you know, getting a sweet treat and like hanging out with your friends and getting back into things that really light you up inside.